You think you know about discipline is, well, wrong. What if it's not about gritting your teeth or having superhuman willpower or just forcing yourself through pain? In the next few minutes, we're going to flip that idea on its head and look at a simple shift that can make discipline feel, well, almost effortless. Let's dive in.
Okay, right now, at this very moment, a part of your brain is making a calculation. It's asking, should I keep focusing on this, or is there something easier, maybe a little more fun that I could be doing? Now, this isn't some kind of personal flaw. It's just how we're wired. Our brains are built to save energy, to always look for the path of least resistance. And that one simple calculation, which happens thousands of times a day, is probably the biggest reason we put off the things that actually matter.
You know, the popular image of discipline is this constant uphill battle, right? It's about being tougher than everyone else, enduring more pain, and just forcing your way to the top. But here's the thought. What if the most disciplined people you know aren't actually fighting at all? What if, instead of just playing the game harder, they've figured out how to change the rules of the game itself?
And that, right there, brings us to the core secret. We all think discipline is about having more willpower, like it's some kind of muscle in your brain. But the reality? True lasting discipline comes from something called environment design. It's not about being stronger, it's about being smarter. It's about setting up your world so that the right choice is also the easiest choice.
Okay, let's get practical. What does it actually mean to design your environment for discipline? Let's really break it down.
So this is it, environmental design. The whole idea is simple, but honestly, it's revolutionary. Stop trying to fight your own lazy instincts because, let's be real, we all have them. Instead, you're going to work with them. You're basically rigging the game in your own favor, making your goals the easiest, most obvious option on the table. Okay, think about food cravings. Instead of getting into this epic willpower battle against junk food, you just make the healthy choice more convenient. A protein shake that you can grab in literally 10 seconds is way easier than ordering takeout and waiting for it to arrive. Or chewing a piece of gum can actually trick your brain into feeling satisfied. See? It all boils down to one simple rule. Make the good choice the lazy choice.
Or let's take building a reading habit. The speaker in our source material wanted to read more, but he was always just too tired at the end of the day. So what did he do? He put his books right on his bedside table. That way, when he got into bed, it was physically easier to just reach over and pick up the book than it was to lean over, find his phone, and plug it in. Simple, right? But incredibly effective.
This example is just incredible. I mean, think about it. If a single piece of gum can work for Bear Grylls in a literal survival situation, imagine what little environmental tricks can do for Grylls in a literal survival situation. Imagine what little environmental tricks can do for you and me. He wasn't getting any real energy from it. He was just sending a signal to his brain that said, hey, food is coming. And that signal alone was enough to unlock the energy and motivation he needed. It's proof you can work with your brain's programming, not just against it. Okay, so the theory is great, fantastic. But how do you actually start designing your own environment? Well, it all begins with data. Before you can change anything, you have to know what you're actually working with. And that brings us to strategy 1, tracking your most valuable asset, your time.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, this first step sounds a little intense, but trust me, it is an absolute game changer. You're gonna pick one day, just one single day, and from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you set a repeating alarm for every 15 minutes. When it goes off, you just pause and write down exactly what you were doing. Yeah, it's gonna feel tedious, but the brutal honesty of seeing your day laid out in 15-minute chunks, it gives you a level of clarity that is just priceless.
And hey, don't just say you'll do this sometime. No, pick a day this week. Open your calendar right now and put it in. Making it a concrete appointment transforms it from just a vague idea into a real non-negotiable commitment. I promise you, this single day of awareness can be the foundation for a much more productive future.
So what you're creating here is what's called a time statement. It's exactly like a bank statement for your money, but instead, it tracks your minutes. And for the first time, you'll see exactly where your day is going. But even more importantly, you'll start to see the environmental triggers. You know, the phone buzzing on your desk, the snacks right there in the pantry, all the little things that are quietly sabotaging your goals.
All right, so you've got your time statement and you've identified the leaks. Now, the goal isn't to just destroy all your bad habits overnight, because let's be honest, that almost never works. This second strategy is much smarter. It's all about finding slightly better alternatives. Just look at this. The goal here is gradual improvement, not perfection. So if you eat ice cream every single night, don't just quit cold turkey. Nah,
Maybe you just start by skipping the toppings, or maybe you just have a slightly smaller scoop. If you have a habit of reaching for chips, try putting a bag of nuts in that exact same spot. You're redirecting the habit, not trying to fight it head on.
You see, this is the crucial mindset shift. When you only try to stop doing something, you create this empty space, this void, and your brain absolutely hates that. But when you ask, okay, what can I do instead, you're giving that craving a new, healthier place to go. You're channeling that energy, not just trying to suppress it.
And this brings us to our final strategy.
Not just trying to suppress it.
And this brings us to our final strategy. And you know what? This might be the most important one of all. It has nothing to do with your physical environment and everything to do with your internal one, your mindset. Because discipline will never, ever stick if it feels like a punishment. Every time you have a setback, you have a choice. You can either be the harsh judge who says, ugh, I failed, I'm just not disciplined, I'm lazy. Or you can be the curious scientist who says, interesting, that didn't quite work. I wonder why. What can I learn from this? One of those approaches creates shame, the other creates data. Always, always choose to be the scientist.
And the absolute best way to be a good scientist is to start with experiments that you literally cannot fail. I mean it. Lower the bar. So if you want to exercise, don't commit to a whole hour at the gym. Just commit to doing one single push-up. The goal isn't the workout. The goal is the win. Each one of those tiny successes builds momentum and creates this feeling of accomplishment. And remember this, it's so important. Action doesn't follow motivation. Motivation follows action. So, after all of this, what is the one big idea you should walk away with?
Here it is. Discipline is not a personality trait. You're not born a disciplined person or an undisciplined person. You are simply a person operating within a system. So if you want better results, stop trying to fix your character and start fixing your system. Build a better environment.
And that just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Forget about some massive life overhaul. Just based on everything we've talked about, what is one single tiny change you can make to your environment today, right now, that will make the right choice just a little bit easier?